It is my honor and privilege to open our luncheon today, and I assure you it is going to be an exceptional afternoon. You are in for a treat. Before we begin, however, I have to acknowledge that events like this do not just happen. They happen as a result of careful planning. Thank you to all of the members of the planning team, and they happen because of the support of our sponsors. I am tremendously excited and peacock proud to introduce our corporate sponsor for this luncheon today, Merrill Lynch Bank of America. And to bring sponsor remarks, I would like to bring up and introduce Mr. John Inhouse.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Doctor. My parents always told me to be brief and be seated, so this won't take long at all. I'm thrilled to be here. We're honored to be a partner. We're honored to support. I want to give a shout out to my partners at the Merrill Lynch Bank of America table. They're great partners. We've been working together for some time. And at Merrill Lynch Bank of America, we want to continue to grow our relationship with all HBCUs. One of the most proud accomplishments in my life is last year I was asked to be on the Clark Atlanta Financial Planning Board, and I'm thrilled about that. And I'm also, with the help of my partner, Mr. Sloan, am doing more and more with Morehouse College. So I am wide open to working with more HBCUs. So with that, thank you for having us. We are proud and thrilled to sponsor you. So, Doctor, thank you.
And now a gentleman who needs no introduction, our co-chair, our captain of the team, Mr. Tommy Dortch, chair of the 100 Black Men of America.
I have to check in with my co-chair because she's a phenomenal leader, but we wanted to again thank all of you for what you've done and what you're going to do for the historical Black colleges and universities. We definitely do have a treat in line today and for you, and we will again not keep you long eating because we want you to get the full meal of the presentation. So we're going to move to that. I know we haven't had a pastor up here to bless the food because we know being at a HBCU and being at home, your parents taught you all to lift up that prayer. And so we wanted you to be able to pray in your own faith and bless the food. So I'm going to simply say we didn't forget it. We just simply understand you've already been trained. If you went to an HBCU, we did it all the time. And when you were getting ready for exams, you did it even more. So with that, but I do want to recognize one person real quick because he's in here actively offering something that all of us need. We have Dr. Morris Beasley. He's the superintendent of Clayton County Public Schools. Stand up. Tom said he met you. He brought in several hundred students. We had several hundred from DeKalb and all for our Call to Manhood, Call to Womanhood. He is actively looking for colleges. He has 3,000 plus students. Seniors, 3,000 plus seniors. He wants to talk with HBCUs through their HBCU common application. So I will get you his numbers and information and all, and he is, see, we go out recruiting, he's recruiting you to come recruit his seniors. And he's serious, and several presidents have already talked, and they're cutting their deals, so he's got enough students to go around. All right, so I wanted to make sure the superintendent that we thank you. I would like to, at this time, and as I get out of the way, bring up, I got a ton of presidents. I got my president from the Fort Valley State University, where I did my undergraduate study, the president of Clark Atlanta University, that I'm a trustee. I got 5 honorary doctorate degrees, so Jarvis Christian, and I could just go through, and so I got all my presidents, but then I got my other president. And I've had the pleasure of working with him that I'm bringing up, Dr. Larry Robinson, the president of Florida A&M University. I have the pleasure of serving as a trustee, but here is another one of our phenomenal leaders. He's been part of the team as we plan this weekend, this summit. So let Dr. Robinson, he's the man to give the welcome. And again, another one of our phenomenal leaders of our great HBCUs.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here among such dignitaries and those who made historical black colleges what they are today through your contributions to the schools and what you've done once you've left these great institutions. And in particular, I want to acknowledge Trustee Tommy Deutsch, who serves on our Board of Trustees, and the chair of our Board of Trustees here in the room, and Trustee Robert Woody, Trustee Kelvin Lawson, and former trustee, Mr. Rupert Montgomery, who are in the room as well. So thank all of you for guiding me and giving me an opportunity to lead this great institution. I too want to thank the organizing committee led by none other than Dr. Artis, who kept us going every Thursday morning at 7:30 in the morning, and she made sure that this got to this point. And in particular, I want to thank Trustee Deutsch for his vision. You know, my job this afternoon is just to set the table for the wonderful discussion that's about to occur. You have basically a situation where, you know, you don't need a moderator. You just need to bring these people up here and let them go. But the whole idea around this session is, you know, how can we get to that next level in terms of corporate partnership development? That's what this luncheon is about. So Arnold Donald, when I asked him to come and speak, he didn't hesitate. He decided that this would be the right place and the right time for him to come and share his wisdom. You know, we were just joking a few minutes ago. I don't know if he's older than me or just smarter than me, but he graduated from Washington University 2 years before I did with a degree in engineering. It took me a little bit longer because I was working on a PhD. I finished in 1979. But what we saw on that campus, though, was fairly interesting because every other building was named after some corporate entity. You know, Monsanto, right? Bush, right? Every building was named after something. You would have thought you were on Wall Street at one time, okay? You really would. And so how do we get to that level of engagement with the corporate community is what we want to hear about from Arnold, because he leads one of the nation's most, the most productive travel entity in the nation. So Arnold, I'm looking forward to that. And of course, Tom doesn't need an introduction. We all know him. You know, I was joking with him earlier too. You know, I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and Tom, long before he became a fly jock, was a disc jockey when we called him that at WLOK 1340 in Memphis, Tennessee. So you're going to hear some wonderful things from these gentlemen. I'm going to get out of the way and just let this happen. We have something special for Tom. But for all of you who are in attendance today, the whole idea is how can we strengthen our relationship with the corporate sector, helping them and the nation understand that we can't get there without historically black colleges and universities. We keep trying, right? And we run out ahead and we get caught. We keep trying and we don't take advantage of the talent that's resident in these institutions. So let's hear from these wonderful individuals about how we can maximize that over the next generation. We can do a much better job than we've done thus far. Thank you very much.
What we want to do now, so that you have adequate time to really hear from these two giants of leaders that we have, we're going to present Tom Joyner with the HBCU Heroes Award. The planning committee, as we talked about the great contributions that Tom Joyner has made over the years. And I don't need to go into bios about him because we all know Tom Joyner. Phenomenal man. You know, some may have forgotten he was one of the original members of the Commodores at Tuskegee, a graduate of Tuskegee University. And as I said, he made more money taking his route than hanging with Lionel. And again, from there, the work that he has done to uplift HBCUs and keep HBCUs on our minds, and the scholarships and the millions and millions of scholarships while we got the cruise away. As Arnold was talking earlier, we were the second cruise. I went on the first 11, but it was a party like none other on the water. We didn't want to come off the water. He could have taken us back to Africa the way he was going. We were having so much fun. We would have gone back, picked up home folks, and brought them back with us. But I could say as much as you could imagine, but Tom, we wanted to really pay homage to you for what you've done over these years. You didn't have to do it. And the amazing thing, you didn't put the money into your foundation to let it sit there. You made that money work for our students and for our universities, and highlighting our universities of the month. And also what we want to do today, Dr. Artis and I, representing the presidents, the planning committee, and everything, we want you to come up so we can just truly say to you, you've been a phenomenal, phenomenal friend and leader of historically black colleges and universities.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
My name is Tom Joyner. I'm from Tuskegee, Alabama. Born, raised, and educated. My daddy was in the Tuskegee Airman program, and he was in the third class of the Airman program. Of 11 cadets, only 3 made it. He wasn't one of them. But he didn't go away empty-handed. My mother was a secretary at Moton Field with the commander of the Tuskegee Airman program. And he had a car, which was kind of rare, and he gave her a ride to work every day. Once he punched out, he married her, and here I am. HBCUs are part of my DNA. If you cut me, I bleed. HBCU. My father went to FAMU. My mother graduated from Tennessee State. My grandfather on my father's side went to South Carolina State and Meharry. My granddaddy on my mother's side went to Tuskegee, later taught agriculture at Chattanooga. And my grandmother on my mother's side, Tennessee State, and my grandmother on my father's side went to FAMU. My brother went to Tuskegee after he flunked out of Hampton. Oh, he was the only one that flunked out. And after 6 years, I graduated from Tuskegee. What's so funny? Okay, it's 7. But I did it. And the one thing that we're supposed to be talking about corporate America and how HBCUs can help corporate America, and then corporate America can help HBCUs. I've always said that if you can get through registration at a historically black college, you are bound to solve problems in corporate America more than any other PWI. Lord have mercy. Think. I went through 7 registrations. Look where I am today. It's a lot to be said. But seriously, thank you for this honor. HBCUs are my passion, and I have 5 fly babies. And when they decide to go to any HBCU they want to, I'll be right there at their graduation. Thank you so much. I love you.
Put it on the table.
Good afternoon. Tom, I just wanted to say, as the transition leader for the new president of Tuskegee University, I am proud to say congratulations to you. Dr. Lily McNair, the new president, is in board meetings this weekend, so she sent me here to say congratulations to you.
Does she know what I did?
She does.
Well, now. With the board meeting.
I saw a group of Benedict students over there clapping during that registration comment, Tom. I don't know if that was a good idea or not. I don't know if that was a good idea or not. It's called resilience, perseverance. That's what we teach at our nation's HBCUs. Without any further ado, I'd like to invite my colleague back to the stage, Dr. Larry Robinson, president of Florida A&M University, to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Larry?
Okay, thank you again, Dr. Artis. I guess they wanted me to do this right this time. I don't know. So they gave me something in writing. So now I have to prove that that PWI education was really worth something. So Arnold Donald is the president and chief executive officer of Carnival Corporation and PLC, the world's largest travel and leisure company. There are 10 cruise brands: Carnival Cruise Lines, Holland America, Princess, Seabourn, AIDA, Ada, Costa, Conrad, P&O UK, P&O Australia, and Phantom are based throughout North America, Europe, Australia, and Asia, and maintain a fleet of more than 100 ships and serve more than 12 million guests annually. Carnival Corporation and PLC is included in both the S&P 500 and FTSE 100 indices and trades on both the New York and London stock exchanges. Mr. Donald has been president and CEO of Carnival Corporation since 2013 and served on the board for 12 years before that. He serves on the board of the Bank of America Corporation and Crown Holdings Incorporated. Mr. Donald spent more than 20 years at Monsanto Company and corporate senior vice president and president of the consumer and nutrition sector and president of the agricultural sector for Monsanto. And by the way, Monsanto was one of those entities that had a building named after them at Washington University. After leaving Monsanto, Mr. Donald was chairman of Merisant Company, whose products included the leading global sweetener brands Equal and Condorol. Prior to Carnival, Mr. Donald was president and CEO of the Executive Leadership Council, a professional network and leadership forum for African American executives from Fortune 500 companies, and the president and CEO of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation International. A native of New Orleans, Mr. Donald received a Bachelor's of Arts degree from Carleton College, a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, and a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Chicago Graduate School of Business.
That's more than 7 years.
That's more than 7 years right there. And he got out before I did, right? Mr. Donald serves on the boards of Carleton College in Northfield, Minnesota, and Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, the Greater New Orleans Foundation, and St. Louis-based BJC Healthcare, among many others. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Arnold Donald.
Real pleasure, real pleasure. All right, Tom. So look, we're actually just going to have a chat. Is that okay? That's the plan, right? So we're going to do that, and then I have some comments to that. So first of all, I just want to, and I know you guys did it, but I'm going to ask you to do it one more time. You can stand up and give Tom a raucous standing ovation because you guys know what he's done, but I've been able to participate through the years on the sideline. First, we sponsored, when I was at Equal, we sponsored the second Tom Joyner cruise, second Fantastic Voyage. And I have some of my colleagues here who were there at the time. We got Ken Jones sitting, I don't know if you remember Ken. Ed wasn't with us yet then, I don't think. Oh, where you at? Yeah, you were. Yeah, Ed was there. You used to look so young, man. I can't, right. Ed and Kathy are here. And so it was a pleasure. And then years later, I circled back. We also did the morning show. You guys remember the morning show?
The Sky Show?
The Sky Show. You remember people would line up the night before, 2 in the morning and stuff to go?
Yes.
And we would give out computers to students at Historically Black College University, and we sponsored that. And it was a real pleasure to be connected through the Tom Joyner Foundation, all Tom's work with HBCUs in that way. And now at Carnival, Fantastic Voyage, he came back. He went away for a little while. That was before I got there. And then as soon as I got back, we were able to reconnect, and they sailed on Carnival ships for the Fantastic Voyage. And it's all about, scholarships for HBCUs through the Tom Joyner Foundation. And Tom, you've just done so much for so many students and stuff, and I just want to add my acknowledgement to what you're accomplishing.
I like to say we have partners. And there's a difference between partners and sponsors. Yeah, a sponsor is just someone who's trying to sell a product. Right. A partner is someone who's trying to sell their product, but they believe in your mission and they believe in your vision. And what we do with the Tom Joyner Morning Show and the Tom Joyner Foundation is we super serve our community. Yep. And we didn't even know, at least I didn't, who the hell Maricent was. But this brother was heading it up out of New Orleans, so we knew he liked to party. And we found out that Maricent is, and the product that they were sponsoring was, of course, Equal.
Yeah,
and we brought Equal on, and we partied, and then you left Maricent, you came back with Carnival, and we partnered with Carnival, and we've been having a partnership because you believe in what we believe in, and that's super serving the African American community.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you, Arnold Donald.
No, he's the man. You the man. You the man. So I'll turn over to you, and you fire away.
Since 1998, the Tom Joyner Foundation has raised more than $65 million to support your schools and your students. Our mission has always been to help keep students in historically black colleges and universities, because we always say there's one thing to go to school, but there's another thing altogether to stay in school. And so we've always been there for the student who's running short on money, raise your hand, and help them through. And since 1998, we've given more than 20,000 scholarships to students at historically black colleges and universities, under the leadership of my son, Tom Joyner Jr. I take all the credit; he does all the work.
Excellent. So I think how you guys want us to play this? He's asking me questions, or you want us to ramble on? All right.
All right. All right. So, Arnold, you've been around us in HBCUs. You didn't go to a historically black college, but do you regret you did?
Well, I regret aspects for sure.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot more fun. and
And we get the job done.
And you get the job done. You get the
Yeah.
job, but you have more fun while you're getting the job
Yeah.
done.
And
And I love going to graduation. I got to share this story. So Larry mentioned he went to Washington University, and he had me come out and give the commencement address to one of the schools, because they have like 5 graduations, as you guys know, at A&M, to one of the schools. And you know, we had this guy, he was like, how old was this gentleman? He was 98 or 100. And they gave him an honorary degree, and he gave an absolutely riveting speech. And the guy was fantastic, an alum. It was awesome. And then they had me say some things. And then Larry got up to talk, and I was like, man, Larry's getting late. All these people in this gym. You know, I don't really know they want to hear what you got to say. And he started off really slow, like he was reading something. And I had no idea what was going on. You guys all know. I had no idea. And he was going slow, and then suddenly everybody in the gym started saying exactly what he was saying. And it was the Rattlers, which I had no idea was coming.
Strike and strike again.
Strike.
It's kind of scary.
Well, when you don't know what's going on.
Yeah. You don't know what's going on.
And everybody in the gym, I mean, there's people in the rafters, everybody knew it, you know, and it was very human spirit oriented, and I think that's one thing that characterizes HBCUs somewhat uniquely is the level and depth of human spirit.
Well, we like to party, and we party with purpose.
Yep.
What a lot of people do not understand is that a student that comes out of a historically black college has a better chance of getting a job at in corporate America than a student that comes out of a PWI. That's fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. And so when you recruit from an HBCU, you get the best of the best of us. And you probably know this personally. And because our students are nurtured and are expected to succeed. And if you're expected to succeed, you got a better chance of being successful. And that's the good thing about historically black colleges. You know, I was a C student, you know, but I was expected to succeed. And I came from a town that had, you know, a historically black college, Tuskegee. Little known fact is that was the founding school for United Negro College Fund.
Right.
Yeah, Dr. Patterson started there. And that's Tuskegee. And so that's, you know, and I was raised in this community. So by the time I got to the success of the Tom Joyner Morning Show in 1998, I formed the Tom Joyner Foundation, which was so natural because that's what I was born to do. I mean, Tuskegee, if you know, just down an hour and a half, just down 85, is a small black town, and with this school, Tuskegee, and the Tuskegee Airmen Program, and the VA hospital that happened. So you had all of these people who were successful in their own right, and everybody nurtured everybody nurtured students. My mother became the secretary for the dean of agriculture, and if not for her side hustle of doing dissertations, she was she was a secretary, you know. And before spell check, that was my mama.
They have to innovate. If they don't innovate, they get passed up. You know, you got Uber coming, Airbnb. You know, you talk about spell check. You know, there used to be VisiCalc and other things. There was Beta, there was VHS, there was cassette tapes, there were DVDs, there were, you know, things get passed up. And so you have to innovate, either in products and services, or in your processes and how you do things. Innovation, by definition, is thinking outside the box. It's diversity of thinking, and by definition. And so for a business to sustain success over time, it has to have diversity of thinking. And the best way to have diversity of thinking is having people who are different from each other. But then, and this is my message to you guys for sustainability for HBCUs, then you have to have those people aligned around a common objective. They all got to be focused on achieving the same thing. And because they are different, they have to have a work process that's going to be inclusive so that they can work together, because it's hard for them to naturally work together, okay, because they're different from each other. If you have the process, and if they're all aligned around a common objective, that diverse group of people will out-solution a homogeneous group every time. So as you look at sustainability for HBCUs, I would encourage you to get diversity of thinking, get everybody aligned on the common objective. That's not that easy to do, but it's really important. And when it's not there, that's when you have all the issues. You know, people are thinking they're working on the same thing, but they're really not. And so when decisions have to be made, they're making them from different points of view, and either can't make a decision or they get in conflict with each other, and people, you know, peel off or whatever. So the reality is you got to have that common objective defined. And then a work process for those different people to work together. And if you can pull that together, then you will be assured of sustainability in whatever you're engineering, whether it's, you know, sustainability for HBCU, a particular program, or whatever. So for us, yeah, I have a couple of folks in the room, but Ken Jones, stand up, Ken, so everybody knows who you are. Ken went to Southern in Baton Rouge. I think he graduated, I'm not sure. Yeah, he played a little baseball and studied agriculture, and he and I met back in the day when it was at Monsanto, when we first started with Tom and all that, and started off in an agricultural company, and then later I took him into the sweetener business with me. But Ken's one of the people we have now in his charter to work with HBCUs to make sure that we're tapping into the talent pool that exists within, you know, those HBCUs. Versus a team of people throughout the company, but Ken's on it. And we also, obviously, were one of the founding contributors to the National African American Museum and the Smithsonian, where HBCUs are highlighted. We're working on a Greeks at Sea, so that you know, the Greeks can have a good time at sea on any one of our 9 brains. Yeah. One in the house. One in the house. Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
The stomp is coming later, right? Yeah. So, so Greeks at Sea, and we have a host of other initiatives. But what we're really all about in the end is attracting talent, engineering diversity, making certain that our behaviors are inclusive, so we can take advantage of the latent, you know, talent that's out there and turn it into something that produces a great outcome. And I've put in people at the top of the organization that are very diverse, and that's the other aspect of it. To be candid is, you know, Larry was talking to me. You know, Larry's a nuclear chemist, PhD, and you know, he was saying how when he first went to work, there wasn't a lot of diversity, and they said, well, we can't find them. He said, well, you may not be able to find a lot of nuclear chemists, period, but you can find engineers. And so, you know, for us, when I look at putting people at the top, I wasn't looking for people who had great experience in cruise and had demonstrated ability to run cruise companies, because if I did that, I wouldn't have diversity, and that didn't exist. So you got to be willing to look at the core things that make people successful, then put them in a situation where they can be successful. So we brought in some people who didn't have cruise experience, but I surrounded them with people that did, above and below them, so that they'd have every opportunity to be successful. And our corporation has done very well. So in the 5 years I've been there, we've more than doubled earnings, more than doubled return on invested capital, more than doubled the share price. And we are the largest travel and leisure company in the world. And a lot of that, and the company was not doing that well for about 15 years before that. And I contributed, not to me, but to the diverse talent that we brought in, which unleashed the talent that was already there to produce. And we've got a beautiful runway ahead of us. So, so those are just, you know, some thoughts.
Yeah, you're the man.
But you want to.
And it's not just Carnival.
No, it's not.
It's not just Carnival. No. Carnival is just one of the cruise lines that your company runs. More than 65%, I think, of all the cruise lines, of all the cruise ships in the world, are with your parent company.
Yeah, which I run. So we have, you know, one out of every 2 people who cruise on the world cruise. How many of you have taken a cruise? How many have taken a cruise?
How many have taken the Fantastic Voyage?
How many have been on the Fantastic Voyage? Yeah.
Nothing like it, is it?
And you got to check it out. I mean, it's,
you know, we sold out, right?
Yeah.
You can't even get on if you want to.
Yeah. It's true. It sold out fast too. Yeah.
We were sold out, Arnold, before we docked.
Yep.
We were sold out, literally. We were sold out before we docked.
The ship came back.
Yeah. We booked half the ship before we docked for April of 2019, half of it. And we had a wait list. We had a wait list which sold us out and had a wait list for the wait list. Yeah. And that's because, you know.
That's because of you, Tom. That's because of the pull you have and the great thing you put together, and it's awesome.
Like I said, I take all the credit.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed to have a great team, as you know.
Yeah, you do. You have a good team.
I have a great team, headed up by my sons, the 2 big heads, Killer and Thriller, Tom Joyner Jr. and Oscar. They run everything. They run me. I work for them. They sign my checks, and they are products of HBCUs. Tom Jr., Killer went to Howard, and Oscar, the big head, went to FAMU. Yeah.
Excellent.
So.
All right, so questions from you guys? Yes, sir.
Question. You're the intern I met earlier, right? How you doing, sir? All right. He's going to be a leader.
I wanted to ask, in pertinence to us college students that are attending university right now, what do you think are the necessary steps we can take to further upkeep the integral part of the historical significance of each of the schools in which some students may go to?
I'm sorry, you said, what can I?
In terms of what can we do to help upkeep the morality at the HBCUs that each student may attend now, currently? With the progression of how society is, it seems as if a lot of the importance behind it can get mitigated with what can be going on around the rest of the world, but I really feel as if it's important to uphold the principles that these schools were founded on. What do you think us college students can do now to help keep that integrity prevalent within where we go?
Support your school. And you don't have to support it just by donations. You can just volunteer and recruit. And if you can, come on campus and help nurture, not just at homecoming, but whenever you get a chance. You have to support from the soul, not just your pockets. Everybody's not able to give like me or Tommy George. Everybody can't do that, but you can do something. And these presidents that are here and that are HBCUs, they got it tough, real tough. So much so that I think that they can't concentrate as much as they want to on the academics as they do trying to keep the doors open, which is a shame. And so your college presidents, staff, and overworked faculty need your support in any way possible. And that's how you can achieve keeping your school vibrant and a part of the fabric of the country. Yes. Questions. Use your R's. Be proper. Questions. Questions. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Kwabna Boaten. I'm originally from Ghana and a proud alum of Florida A&M University.
Yeah.
As we talk about sustainability of HBCUs, just wanted to get your thoughts on, as the market becomes tougher in the US, have we considered the value proposition of HBCUs when it comes to the global African diaspora, right? People who led the independence movements of, say, Ghana, Nigeria, Kwame Nkrumah, a product of an HBCU, Lincoln University, Nnamdi Azikiwe, a product of Howard. But you don't see the HBCU story being told within that global context. So what are your thoughts on the way forward so far as expanding for me, an HBCU helped me know who I am, and that is a very important value proposition so far as getting intrinsic motivation to accomplish any goal. And I believe it's something HBCUs can offer the entire global African diaspora. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as I told you that my mother helped a lot of students with their dissertations. What I didn't tell you were a lot of them were from Africa. and when I was in school, there was an extensive program. I don't know if it's the same, but I used to see students from Ghana and all over the continent in and out of my door with pieces of paper and scribbling. My mama had to figure out what the hell this brother was writing. So I can't really speak to that because I don't know what the extent is now. But back in the day, there were so many students from the continent that were getting degrees, especially in agriculture, where my mama was secretary to the dean and did all the work for the dean, and he took all the credit. Mic check? Okay. Yeah. But I guess you'd have to ask some of these presidents here what their programs are now for international students. I'm really not up on that.
From a recruiting standpoint, I know we see a lot, and we were just in islands. Where are they? Down in the Southern Caribbean. And there were a number of graduates from HBCUs, from Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Transportation, further south in the Caribbean. A number of those had, come from the continent going to the island. They were actually first generation in the island before they went to the HBCU. And
I too.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Well,
Good afternoon. I'm George French, president of Miles College in Birmingham,
Hey, how
Alabama.
you doing, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for your work, for the millions that Tom Joyner and the foundation has raised for HBCUs. Appreciate you.
How many
And,
years you been at Milestone?
22.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Now that's dedication.
thank you, sir. I want to thank also Tommy Deutsch, 100 Black Men, to my sister, President Benedict, NAFIO, UNCF, for pulling this together. This is hugely significant and one of the best conferences that I've seen anywhere in the world in higher education. So thank you. To address the question, very significant. I recently returned last month from the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And the conversation there was, how do the African countries unite with the diaspora? The HBCUs should be the catalyst for this unification. It's new. Miles were out there, Tennessee State, Howard University. Some of the others are out there, but there is a need, a cry for us to unite with our brothers because we hold intellectual capital for the diaspora that's so important. Finally, let's put it in simple terms. The President of the United States said recently when he was making reference to Cote d'Ivoire that many of his friends have made a lot of money, but then went on to use a pejorative term for these countries. There is a lot of money to be made, and I think that HBCUs should be the catalyst to unite with our brothers and the diaspora. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you for answering his question for me.
What else?
All right.
So while you guys are thinking, I can apologize real quickly. I have a sinus problem, and I thought it was better if I took care of that off stage. Since you guys just ate and everything.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Don't you hate that?
Hurry up before it happens again.
Don't you hate that you go to restaurants and just somebody?
Yes. Well, the question is, why don't we do an HBCU cruise? So,
What's the Tom Joyner Foundation Fantastic Voyage?
see?
Don't say I sold out like that, Tommy. I didn't sell out. I sold a cruise out. You sold out. I don't know how to take that, man. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't sell out either. Man. No, I'm here with you. I didn't sell out. Yeah, no. Yeah. No, I think Ken is the guy. We'll work with any university or group of universities to see if we can put something together. But it is a good way to create that connection, and you can obviously I don't want to sell it here, but it's a great way to spend time together.
It's
right?
easier said than done.
Yeah, it's not easy to do
It's not easy to do.
unless you do it with us.
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier. A lot easier.
Right.
I mean,
But-
it's
But seriously, it is a way to get people to connect.
Yeah.
And then to align on what you want to have. But also, it's probably a good fundraising tool if you want to do it, as Tom can attest to on that part. Yeah. Exactly, and they'll show you how to do it. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Donald is a CEO, and your colleagues in the Fortune 500 listing. Is there any thought or ways to establish a trust for the sustainability of the HBCUs versus getting, I wouldn't say ad hoc, but different requests for donations and support, cruises and all that? I mean, just how could you advance a dialogue like that with you and your peers that can, could create something that creates a corpus for all of them? And I know you got UNCF and Thurgood Marshall and all those, but I'm talking about from the private side, the corporate side, beyond those measures.
Yeah, I think that's the age-old question in development. I sit on two college boards, one at university and one at liberal arts college. And an age-old question, especially in a university, you get the schools. The engineering school wants to ask the donor for money. Well, should the university ask? Should all that? And here, if you brought all the universities together, on the one hand, it's a powerful request. On the other hand, it's something to be evaluated, something to be thought through. But potentially, cumulatively, the HBCUs could end up getting less money because we gave to the, and so I think it's something to be discussed and debated. But my personal opinion, without any empirical evidence, is that if you are clear for your university on what you want to accomplish, what your areas of strength are going to be, from an academic standpoint, where your areas of strength are going to be from a community engagement standpoint. And you're able to, clearly articulate that, have your alumni, aligned around and organized around it, have some alumni leadership gifts you can point to. Then I think you have now set the corporations up to, be able to give the levels that they should be giving. Okay, and I'm a big New Orleans Saints fan, and we play. I know it hurt, man. I know. And the we played the Dirty Birds this weekend, right? The Falcons, and the thing is, the stadium here is called Mercedes-Benz, The stadium in New Orleans is called Mercedes-Benz. So there's no reason in the world why companies can't, give and name and donate to multiple, HBCUs. So I don't want to, argue that point because you guys do this for a living. I'm kind of swooping in with an opinion without a lot of facts. But I think as the HBCUs are strong enough, they have a strong enough legacy of producing, talent and making real contribution in the communities, and more broadly the world with the talent that's matriculated. That again, if you get a line on what you want to accomplish and can clearly articulate that, and have a few lead alums, alums got to ante up, but if they do, and I know many HBCUs they do, and you can use that as an example, you should be able to get corporate support. So that's an opinion, not a fact, but okay. So yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You talked about diversity at the top of your organization. What universal language transcends all cultures? There are many cultures, diverse groups on cruises around the world. So what works when it comes to customer service and making sure that that's translated in everything that you do at Carnival?
In the travel business, and especially in cruise, what we do is we bring people together. So, and especially cruise, because a cruise is not a product, it's a community. You're enrolling in a community for a number of days, or in some cases, weeks. We have world cruises that go for 115 days, and that's a community on board. And so you're actually signing on, if it's a fantastic voyage, for a particular community, any cruise. So what we do is we bring people together, guests to guests, guests to crew, okay, and guests to the locals and the places and the destinations you go. And when you bring people together, they discover what they have in common. And in doing so, they learn to celebrate the differences rather than to fear them. So this morning, I was in New York for a breakfast meeting with the president of Cuba. So we were the first corporation, a cruise company in over 50 years, to be able to take people from the U.S. to Cuba and back. We got approval from the U.S. and Cuba. And, there was a lot of, President Obama made it possible by, knocking some things down. But then we still had to get to it. And the reality was we're in Miami. And there's a lot of Cuban Americans who are still upset about Cuba. And so, I have a bunch of Cuban American employees. And at one point, Cuba had a long-standing policy. No one Cuban-born, no matter where they lived in the world, could come or go by sea. Okay? So the Cuban Americans in Miami said, Carnival's going to go to Cuba. They can't even take Cuban Americans because there's a policy against. Now, we anticipate all that, and I talked to the Cuban authorities, said, look, guys, we're not going to be able to come unless there's a change here. It's not a threat or nothing. It's just I've got employees. Their kids have to go to school. And I cannot afford to have those kids going to school and the other Cuban Americans saying, your parents work for that, that company that's discriminating against Cuban Americans, because that's how I got positioned, right? And the Cubans promised me, they said, don't worry, we're going to take care of it. And I believed them. And the Cuban Americans in Miami who were anti the whole thing said, you're an idiot. They have never changed anything. You're an idiot. They're never going to change it. You're being played like a piano. And I'd met with them enough, I trusted them. And in the end, about 2 weeks before we had to sail, because I wasn't going to be able to sail, they hadn't changed it. But I hung in there. And they changed it. And not only did they change it, they made a national proclamation to the people of Cuba to say this longstanding practice was no longer, and they cited our company to all of the people in Cuba as a reason why not. And so the point of that whole story is to say when we went, I made sure the first people off that ship was my general counsel who had worked on the deal, who was born in Cuba, and his wife, who was born in Cuba. And they were the first two off that ship. And there were thousands of Cubans waiting for us to get off that ship, kissing, hugging. I mean, it was really dramatic. Every news publication in the world there was a woman that worked for us from Estonia on the ship, and she was saying, you know, Mr. Donald, look, I didn't understand all this, but the emotions are just amazing. And then her phone rang, and she burst into tears. And it was her mom in Estonia saying, I see you on TV, okay? And she freaked out. And so the point of all of that is to say, customer service, we're all just human beings, okay? And it's nothing in most of us except love at the core. And so in our business, we try to make certain that every person is treated as an individual and your travel experience is the one you want. We don't, I'm not trying to sell you anything. We have stuff on board, but we try not to sell anything because people are on vacation. They want to have fun, okay? And if we make available to them what they want, they'll buy it. So we just have to understand what they want. We don't need to sell anybody anything, you know? And if we make available in the moment what they want when they want it, they'll buy it. They'll take advantage of it, okay? And so that's the message that I would give you. In the end, is human spirit. That's the common thing. And wherever you go in the world, people love their children. You know, wherever you go in the world, you know, people, you know, value their parents. You know, there's some basic human essential things. And then the rest, we're all different. We all want different stuff. And the trick is in our business to try to give you what you want. You know, just like your phone, right? That's your phone. You know, it may be an Apple like everybody else has, but it's your phone. It has your apps on it. It has your screenshot on it. It has that phone is customized to you. And so the more we can customize travel, and we're using technology to help us do that now too. I got a whole IoT platform, that's another story. But in any event, that's what it's about. And so if you look at any customer, in our case a guest, and you just to get to understand that person and make available what they want, then that's it. So that's my 2 cents. Yeah.
That's why Arnold Donald is my partner.